Good morning, colleagues. And first of all, thanks very much to the organizers and to Manuel to invite me to speak to you. What I'd like to do is I'd like to give you a somewhat different but also somewhat similar perspective on what we heard before with a focus on the MENA region. Well, let's see if this thing works. Oh, well, maybe it doesn't. Talking about the MENA region, this is what the region looks like, fairly extensive. It's home to 500 million people, and the population continues to grow. What we see is an increasing urbanization in conjunction with climate change, climate warming, and I would say deteriorating air quality. This poses significant risks to human health. This is a region characterized by strong environmental and socioeconomic gradients and differences. And in this region, we see multiple pressures on water supply, energy generation, food security, and environmental integrity that lead to the exceedance of societal and environmental thresholds, sometimes also called bearing capacity. In addition, and on top of that, as you all know, political and societal transformations and crises have been taking place and are taking place. This, among many other things, poses challenges to vital infrastructure and infrastructures and their rebuilding, for instance, in the energy sector. Now, if we look at the energy sector in the MENA region, we see that the consumption is dominated by three sectors: industry, transport, and residential. Probably nothing new to you, but I think while it's varying from country to country, and you probably can't read all the different countries here, but these are the MENA countries. I think it's clear that these three sectors are the major consumers of energy in the region. Now, if you look at the future perspectives of energy generation or electricity generation, we see that the installed capacity in 2015 is, in some of the countries, far exceeded by the projected capacity that is needed to satisfy the energy demand. However, the energy consumption in the MENA region has grown twice as fast as GDP between 2000 and 2011, 8 versus 4%, and is expected to continue to increase as we go along. Now, if we also look at the availability or to satisfy the energy need, let's look at two major pillars. One is hydrocarbons, and what you can see is that the proven oil reserves have significantly increased over the last decades, mainly due to enhanced exploration technologies, etc., etc. And Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq are the major producers, as you well know. Hydrocarbon expected to dominate future energy supply, despite all the efforts that are so prevalent here in this conference of introducing renewables. So we have to live with that to some extent. If you look at the renewables, this is a compilation of renewable energy potentials for all these countries, and without going into any detail, the point here is that anything in green and in green and yellow has significant potential, and it's clear that solar is dominant. Onshore and offshore winds are close seconds, and other renewable energy sources are more or less insignificant. So that's a very brief rundown on some of the aspects of the energy sector. Let's move to the decarbonization of the energy sector in the MENA region. Now, the energy demand will clearly increase, as I said earlier, for a number of reasons. These are just four, they are not exhaustive. Continued rapid population growth, increased urbanization, changes in lifestyle and increase in electrical appliances, rapid growth of the transport sector, increasing energy need for space cooling, potable water and food. And again, urbanization and space cooling, for instance, are two issues that go hand in hand that need to be considered collectively. Now, decarbonizing the sector, or the energy sector, will have to address main consumers that we already mentioned: industrial sector, transport sector, and the residential sector. And what we learned over the last 2 days is that the major foci of so doing will be an increase in renewable energy sources and an enhanced energy efficiency to stay on a sustainable path. Now, in so doing that, and this is of course the focus of this conference, we can consider this as a mainly technological challenge, which is fine. However, and here I refer very much to Professor Skoulos and his excellent talk on the nexus, we need a more holistic view. And this holistic view comprises linkages and interdependencies between energy demand, potable water availability, and food security. More specifically, as he also pointed out, the water for energy and energy for water issue. And as Dr. Buzekri, I think very pointedly outlined, we also need to take into consideration other issues, the socioeconomic repercussions of needed measures, and the possible resistance of major stakeholders to restructuring the energy sector. And this all leads us to a stakeholder-centered co-design approach towards the water energy food nexus. And again, I don't have to talk much about the water energy food nexus, because Professor Skoulos gave us an excellent introduction. But that brings us to Future Earth. Future Earth is a broad scientific alliance with a number of basic principles. It's solution-oriented. That's to say, research is not ivory tower, but research serves a purpose. Serves a purpose of creating solutions that are practical and that are to be applied. It is interdisciplinary. That's also an important issue that Dr. Buzekri, I think, stressed. It's stakeholder-focused, and that means that we are striving to co-design, co-produce, and co-implement whatever research is being done in Future Earth. Now, what is Future Earth? A very brief historical rundown. Future Earth is a collection, if you wish, of large interdisciplinary global change research programs that started in the 80s with the World Climate Research Program, the International Geosphere Biosphere Program, and then in the 90s, Diversitas and the International Human Dimensions Program. That all was put together in the Earth System Science Partnership, and in 2013, out of that, Future Earth was founded. Now, Future Earth is built on a number of organizations, a number of elements, if you wish, so-called global hubs in Colorado, Montreal, France, Sweden, and Japan, but also on regional centers and offices. And you can see that in the MENA region, we have a regional center here at the Cyprus Institute, and in partnership with our colleagues at the Bibliotheca Alexandrina, we have a regional office that is under the center in Alexandria. Now, the Nexus Knowledge Action Network addresses directly what Professor Skoulos was talking about. Knowledge action networks are major and central elements of Future Earth research, and knowledge action implies and signifies what I said earlier, action orientation. Now, the water energy food nexus CAN, as it's called in short, addresses the challenges that are defined as current or anticipated threats to equitable and sustainable access to energy, water, and food, whose causes and or consequences are embedded in the interactions between these three components. And again, I don't want to dwell on this picture. The link between energy, water, and food, I think, are pretty clear. Energy and food are also linked through fertilization or fertilizer production, processing, storage, etc., and vice versa, or the other way around, bioenergy production is a link between food and energy. Let me come to a few conclusions. The MENA region is a region that's experiencing rapid population growth and significantly increasing urbanization. The anticipated energy demand is likely to exceed the projected production capacity. Decarbonizing the energy sector will require changes in the industrial, including agriculture and food production, transport and residential sector. Given existing interlinkages and interdependencies, I think we need a more holistic, stakeholder-oriented approach towards decarbonization strategies. And finally, the stakeholder-centered water, energy, food nexus can of the Future Earth program offers promising directions. If you want to know more about that, I put in the back 3 brochures, one on the energy, the CAN, one on Future Earth in general, and one on the Future Earth MENA Regional Center. If you need any more, please feel free to contact me, and I'm happy to provide them to you. Thank you very much for your attention.